And the customer of the future is growing more and more in pain. Who is bold enough to stick out his hand and say, I work for a company where profits or efficiency is more important than improving the customer journey? Were you the first one? You won a prize. This is really, really hard. And I'm very sure that I talk to you one-on-one, your answer will be different. Customers throughout the world are suffering, but the thing is they grow more and more impatient, irritated, disengaged. 37% of companies global think that their company merely works for profit, and the customer is forgotten. Due to all technical new stuff, we forget about whom we're working for. Looking at the future, you think about your company. I guide the journeys. I guide the channels. At the end of 25, so that's next year, predictions are that your customer, more than 60%, uses other channels to get information on your services, on your company. So how can you control that? How do you know that the information is right? How to build for that? Are you aware that you're not guiding your own company anymore in the future? What does that take? And of course, much talked about, but the customer will get more and more used on a personalized journey. And we always say, oh yes, we're bringing that personal to you and you just share your information. But imagine all the companies you work with, you have to share your information. What will that ask for the customer? How happy will he be if he works with 10, 20 companies? They all want to be very personal. I don't know how many partners you have, but I find one already hard to handle at home. Think about it. What does this mean for your company? That poor customer. I love tech. I love all new stuff. But how many customers do you think are overwhelmed by the tsunami of customers? Does anybody have an idea? Who wants to take a guess on percentage? How many customers feel overwhelmed and more overwhelmed after, 3 to 5 years? How many percent of 100? 60? 88?
70.
70? Okay, well, it's a bit better because we also have a lot of youngsters coming to market. Anybody wants to take the last guess? Because who is closest?
30.
35.
Okay. 50. 50. Finally, somebody who pays attention. Amen. Give the other prize, please. It's this one.
Okay, so much. Okay.
A sustainable ABN AMRO Bank. So 50%, imagine, you're fully investing into tech. You think everything will be taken over with tech and they feel overwhelmed. How to handle that? And then also existing roads, relationships, first house, first job. You can't count on the normal things in life. That is changing rapidly. And I know for a fact that many of you are working with live events. Your predictions are based on history. You won't be able to find your customer anymore in that way. And this goes faster than you think. Everybody still sort of positive or okay, good. Because I'm not. What do you do? We as ABN AMRO want to become a personal bank in a digital age. Better banking for future generations to come. That is our mission. And looking at the future, Self-service will die. Customers grow more and more scared. It's not about you. They want to be fed personally. They want to be taken care of. Where chatter will be the new contact and irritation debases emotion. And you need to be compliant too.
Yeah.
Where to invest? How to do so? What is a personal bank in a digital age? Can you tell me? I got 90 different answers. Imagine that you're building with all these people. Only my department is already 1,500 people, and they're all moving slightly in a different direction. Do you think the customer will understand us then? After we have built that mission, so we needed to move. And I took the future of the customer, the future behavior, as our starting point. So not technique, so not what's coming up, because technique has no competitive edge. Although all vendors, I just spoke to Oracle, try to let us believe this is really competitive. No, we can buy it all. Even I would love to share our backend. Why not? The competitive edge is the way you serve your customer that fits your brand. So we went on that road, and we're on that road, by the way. This is not a success story, this is how you do it. This is how we go about it. I found that banking people can't dream anymore. You can't do that, that's a risk. I'll see risk coming up. No, okay, I won't dream. I had to let them dream first. If we are a personal bank in a digital age, what is the experience you have within 5 or 10 years when you are a customer of ABN AMRO? What is the experience? We couldn't think of anything. So I took them to this practice. And this is a model I built myself. I call it Kaizen. And I nicked stuff from Agile, Lean, design thinking, well, you know them all. And it's quite simple. And you think, oh God, how do you do this? It takes months. 4 days. 4 days, we had the Dear Customer story. We call it internally like that, Dear Customer. And then we tell what the customer will experience within 5 years. And we translated that to the years to come. What do we need to do on IT? What kind of architecture do we need to build upon? What does AI in this? What kind of people, what kind of competence do we need? What is our data architecture gonna look like? How will our interaction go and feel? And bear in mind, I talked about the one bank. But up till today, if I have one new digital service, I have to design it 11 times. 11 times. Because all channels are hard-coded, and also hard-coded to segments, and hard-coded to the device our customer works for. Imagine, I was talking about the fat bank. Imagine what we could solve on costs, but also creating that one bank experience. So we had our plan. And this plan we didn't build with the digital department. We built it with 350 different persons throughout the bank. Risk, finance, HR, architects, IT, customer experience professionals, etc., etc. So, prepare and build, execute fast. Well, fast in our banking way, of course. But the thing is, we had the plan and everybody was really enthusiastic. But it's very difficult to get people on board based on a piece of paper. Although the Dear Customer story is very engaging, I might say so myself, but it's really hard if you're not in digital to know what does it entail. What in the future, how do we do this? So what we did is that we built many prototypes, and the prototypes are videos. And we built on journeys, like your car breaks down, what to do. What will your engagement with the bank be or your insurer? And can we help you find another car which is more sustainable at the same time? Buying a house, very important journey, but also building your business internationally. How can we serve you? And we translated these in practical prototypes to really engage everybody. And then you saw also people from other departments in the bank really understand, is this actually what we can do? Is this what we're aiming at? It could be, and I always say this will never be reality, because we sharpen our basis every day. We'll come to that later. We also needed a different organizational setup. The fact that I have to digitize 11 times one service due to all the channels we have is also because we have all those teams. And if you're a team and you have the responsibility to serve a wealthy customer on a certain channel, you work for the wealthy customer on that channel. But we are one bank, and we want a one bank structure. So what we did is that we changed our organization. We had agile teams and we had different departments, marketing, e-commerce, but they were not really well connected. And we said, okay, agile teams, one, DevOps teams, and we all work with those, but we have to make these teams a bit differently. And I hope this is clear. It's a bit of a hazy picture, but actually this comes out of one of our setups. And what we did is that we connected product, interaction, channel build to the jobs to be done for the customer. And it sounds like a simple solution. But do you know how much a customer experience principal knows about digitalization? Not a lot. And suddenly they were faced with a grid owner, that's how we call the head of the agile teams, and they were faced with the fact, yeah, but you know, we need to do this and you need to do that, like sort of total disconnects. And products, they were used to setting their own pace. So what we're building currently is this flow, and we've worked with that for a year. What we did not do is start a reorganization, what we normally do, but we said, okay, team, you sort it out. How should this be working? And let's try and go ahead. So the last year we didn't change anything. So all managers had a sort of double approach. They are and a value cluster lead and maybe the head of e-commerce or maybe leading the building teams. So we put everything into one flow. So instead of needing 26 teams to build one feature, we now have it in one flow. Is this already working perfectly? Oh no, not at all. But what I see is that knowledge gains throughout the whole flow. So many more people fully up to date on digitalization, what is needed. And next to that, the customer is far more brought also to IT, where I think we were more an IT push company. You see us growing into a customer-driven approach. Other thing, I just hope if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. But what's really important also is that you stick to the plan. We made very clear principles what the future for us will look like and what we build towards. So many teams had to stop building what they were doing. Do you know how difficult that is? You've worked for 1.5 years on the platform, you're very proud. And they say, okay, no, this is not future-proof. Stop building. What? That's really difficult. Some people build on, and then you had to, bring them over to the committee and say, hey, are you still building old stuff? It was really clear that we have to build everything in the new basis. But change is really hard. If you're used to a way of working, and we exist as ABN AMRO 200 years, not many people work that long at the bank, but they work long at this bank. So it's really hard to change your ways. And here leadership comes in. 1, stick to the plan. No compromise. This is what we promise to the customer. We won't compromise on that. And secondly, celebrate every progress. And I have a very hard time doing this. Because constantly I look onto that mountain. We have to do so much, organization-wise, customer-wise, data-wise, IT-wise. A lot of risks that are still in our landscape.
Wearing these sweaters?
Yeah, so this sweater, I'm not having it on currently. I don't have it because I didn't succeed at anything yet. But teams that actually succeeded in delivering something new for the new environment and the basis we're building, the whole team gets this shirt. And how cool is it that everybody can see that you are already successful? And it's simple, but these things worked. And imagine you're sitting here and I said, hey, you aced it, and you get that sweater. How do you feel? But that's really difficult because constantly you see that mountain, and the mountain is still higher than the accomplishments we have done today. I see question.
Yeah. Jorissa, how are regulations and directives helping you in this digital transformation? Yesterday it was the answer. They do help.
The thing is, I think because we were a very big bank, sometimes the people who are working on risks compared to people who are working on change, that's a bit out of balance. So I sometimes make a joke, only for here, of course. I'm always the one thinking of the future, and then there are 4 risk people raising, no, this can't be done. But on the other hand, legislation, of course, helps us. Like the Accessibility Act, we need to move on that. That can help us. Making sure privacy is guarded in the right way, it helps us. Consent in one place, very clear, to be changed every hour by the customer at the wheel of data, it helps us. But moving towards the right direction, I not necessarily think every day that risk is helping us in that. What we do, by the way, and that is really new, is that risk is at the table from the very first step. So they were there when we built the customer future. So it's maybe a small step, but we see relationship changing also with our risk departments because they want to move forward too. And how can we do that together? So I've got a bit of a black and white relationship with it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on because we have 3 lessons to go. I love to live on an island where everybody speaks my language. And you know the lingo under digital people, you really don't understand it if you listen in and you're not in a digital era. But the thing is, I need that sales representative to understand what we're building and how he or she can profit from that. Like our conversational interface can whisper knowledge about the customer in his ear to help the customer better. If he understands the possibilities, we can move way faster. Also, very important, we love data in banking, don't we? Everything has to be 130% before we go live. The thing is, it's whole historical. And hopefully I just showed you that all the trends are really not built on historic data. There's a lot of change in the customer. So we need to measure, future-proof, and just build while we go. Every year, and I can say that because I worked 2 years with the bank and I had my recent sharpening session, we need to be connected with the outside world. I don't come from a banking background. I really don't understand why at our bank we say, oh yeah, we have to beat ING, or we have to beat Rabobank, woohoo! But the thing is, sorry, we're all very poor in helping our customer. One is better at one thing, the other is better at the other thing, but we're still sort of lagging behind with a real good customer digital experience. So look outside and look what is happening. 1.5 years ago, I could not have seen that Gen AI would take a leap as it did. So we had to sharpen things. We had to build new architecture to really commit to our personal bank in the digital age. And I said, doubt yourself, and that's what I mean. You know, don't be arrogant. We at the bank know everything because we have a lot of research and consultants we work with. Don't be arrogant. Doubt yourself all the time and stay on your toes. And then I hope that you understand that our customer, not of today or yesterday, and maybe not even tomorrow, is not our guiding star. But the customer of the future, really understanding what scenarios entail and what does it do with his or her expectations of our service, that's really the end game. And we're working towards that, and it's a very hard journey. So I really invite you, if you want to know more, or you experience the same struggle, or you are somewhere in this process, let's see if we can help each other a bit. If only with a smile on our face, because this is really hard work. And if you forgot about everything I said, because it is early, then start with these 3 things. Forget what customers say today. Translate future behavior to your mission in serving them, and stop compromising. Stop compromising. Let the customer guide you in building tech and make it as adjustable and flexible. I can't foresee the future, you can't foresee the future, but we can sort of calculate what the future will look like at least for over 5 years. So make sure that everything you build is hyper flexible to, well, last a bit longer than a couple of years. Aim big, over communicate, doubt yourself always, and reiterate. Thanks.
Thank you, Jorissa. We have time for only one question, and we need to move on to the next session. So please, if you can, is there a final question, Jorissa? No? Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
So we talked about loyalty and only having one partners, but I think the younger generation are not that loyal to one partner, at least not in Amsterdam, I know.
It's always 10 years ahead.
Yeah, but we're talking about the future, right? So the loyalty
That's
is...
a very broad generalization. That's not true. Younger people are not unloyal to one person. There's a variety of that. I refuse to accept that statement.
Well, there's things written in the news here recently.
Just because a few people do it doesn't mean it's a broad thing.
But let me get to the question. So the question is, younger generations and one bank or multiple banks or maybe an aggregator, what is the direction of travel? Because, well, will you be the top dog in the relationship, or are you leading or serving different aggregators? Yeah.
Well, by the way, you're right, because we are all looking for stable relationship with that one person. Most of us are, but we're not that engaged anymore with big brands in future, and we seek a solution and not a bank for life. So I think what is important, and what we also take on in ABN AMRO, it's not necessarily about us, but it's bringing our services to where the customer needs their services. And what we're used to is that the customer comes to us in our branches. We closed many branches, nobody came anymore. But it's still very important to be there where the customer is. And what you will see, due to the fact that conversational comes up, so you actually can talk to your phone or your other interface, asking questions, it's not about the brand. It's making sure your services are there where they are needed. And I feel that banking services now are sort of standalone, and they will be far more tangled in normal services like when you're buying a washing machine, we immediately are there to tell you which money you can use the best, what is CO2 neutral, those services in services, that's what you will see more and more. That's why our aim is hugely a flexible setup. That's really important for future.
Yeah, so
To
embedded finance.
Yeah, embedded finance, embedded services, I would rather call it. I think it's more than finance. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jorissa.
And we have one more question, Cliff, yeah?
Sorry, very quick question. So, thank you for a great presentation. It struck me that if you, in your role as Chief Digital, looking for people to work for you, maybe organizational change skills are more important than digital skills.
I sometimes make the joke because my department is called CDE and the C actually stands for customer, but sometimes I make the joke, it's for cultural and change. True, but I need people with a very big understanding of new scenarios around the customer, and people with digital skills really can make that jump from this is what's happening in the technical world, this is what's happening in the customer world, and they can connect the dots. But yes, they need to have organizational skills, but mostly stamina and boldness to push through. But also there's where leadership comes in. We as leaders have to keep our back straight, because I don't know about you, but well, almost every week board calls in. What are you doing with that money? What's going on? When will we see some results for the customer? So we need people with stamina, bold enough to follow on the vision and push through. So maybe it's also sort of execution power we seek to that. Yeah, thank you for the question. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.